your Comedy Minute. I'm Scotty T. I have a fantastic young comedian with me. Derek Stacy is here, and I could not be happier about it.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Derek, it's nice to meet you, sir.
It's nice to meet you too.
You are a really funny guy. I watched your stuff today. Let's start though. You're in Kentucky, right?
I am. I'm based out of Ashland, Kentucky.
Okay.
That's where I'm from. That's
Were
where I
you
live.
born? Were you born and raised in Kentucky?
I was. Yep. I've
Okay.
born and raised and lived in Ashland my whole life.
No lie. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Um, I'm going to go right to it because it's one of the things I watch. You just recently opened up for Pauly Shore.
I did. Pretty surreal experience. It was crazy. It
Yeah.
was like I got 3 days notice. Like he was doing
Okay.
a show on Wednesday. I got a text Monday, and they were like, "Hey, do you wanna open for someone pretty big coming through this week?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they would not give me a name. And I was
No
like,
lie. Okay.
who the fuck is coming through Ashland, Kentucky? I was like, what is happening? And then
Right.
finally I was like scrolling through Facebook trying to see if anything, and like the Polly Shore event popped up, and I said, "Oh fuck." I texted the guy back. I said, "Am I opening for Polly Shore?" And he said, "I can't say yet." And then like, because this was all happening while I was at my civilian job, as some would say,
Okay.
and I finally he goes, "You're opening for Polly Shore," and it was crazy.
Well, there's a couple questions there. Number one, I watched your set, so I thought you were great.
Yeah,
How
thank
how
you.
number one, how was Pauly Shore?
Like set wise, he was
Yeah,
incredible. I
that
mean,
there's two parts of that. How was his set, and then how did he treat you?
his set was killer. I mean, I've been watched like obviously I watched Polly's movies when I was younger, but like
Right.
I'm a pretty big fan of his stand up. Like I've seen his
Okay.
podcast and stuff. I think he's a pretty good guy.
Okay.
He's a very you can tell he's been famous for a long time when talking to him. You can tell he's not like he wasn't rude or anything, but we go like where me and my buddy Zach, who opened for him as well. We got to the venue about an hour early. We go like backstage and everything, and we're kind of waiting on him. And he finally gets there, and the lady who was running it, like the talent coordinator, she was like, "Polly's probably not going to talk to you guys. I'm just going to be real. That's not going to happen. But don't deter you. He just doesn't talk to anyone."
Oh
And
yeah.
we were like, okay, that's fair, honestly. And
Right.
then the dude with Polly, I don't know if it was his manager or whatever, was like, "You two back here." And I was like, "Oh fuck. Did we already mess up?" And so we go back there, and Polly's sitting there with his dog because he brings his dog with him.
Right.
And he's like, "So you're doing 15, you're doing 20?" We were like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know what you're gonna say?" We're like, "We might be a little prepared to do comedy, maybe.
Right.
We get it,
Right. Right.
Polly. We might be a little prepared for this."
Right.
And he was like, "Okay, so I'm pointing to my buddy Zach, you're gonna go out first, kind of hype up the crowd. You're hosting, you're the first guy, pump up the crowd. And then you're gonna introduce him. Then he's gonna introduce me." And he was like, "You two need to figure out how he's introducing Derek." And I was like, and my buddy goes, "We're friends, we're good." He goes, "We'll see how good of friends you are tonight." I was like, what death competition are you talking about, Polly? We're doing a show. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of. I don't know if you did any research on Pauly Shore. Besides, you said you're a fan of his movies and stuff, but
Yeah.
his mother owns the Comedy Store in
Yep.
L.A.
She owned it, and
Well, the old man started, but anyway, there was
yeah.
recently a lawsuit, and there's been some grumblings out there about the way he treats people. So I'm not
Uh
surprised.
I know about because I'm a big like I love like comedy history.
Yeah.
Uh I know that she didn't like when comedians went on strike very much. So I inferred there'd be an interesting dynamic there.
Well, I just think when you're kind of grandfathered into to owning a club,
Yep.
he walks around the club like, let's move on. When I say that, I don't mean to discount that was a great experience and everything, but
Yeah.
let's not spend our time talking about Pauly Shore.
Talking
Let's
about
talk
Pauly
about Derek
Shore.
Stacy. When did you start doing comedy? I know the answer, but tell the people.
I started the week after my 18th birthday. I was into music in high school and everything, and whenever I'd be like hanging out with my friends, because I'm a huge stand-up fan.
Okay.
I've been watching stand-up since I was like
That
six
was
years
what,
old.
4 or 5 years ago? 4 years?
For almost 5 years, five
Okay,
years in
right. That's what I thought.
February.
Okay, that's what I
Yep.
thought.
And so like I would always be like, I think this would be, I wish someone did a stand-up joke like that. And I just
Yeah.
didn't know there was like stand-up anywhere around me. And I just so happened to have someone I played music with send me like comedy open mic night in Huntington. I was like, I gotta go. I was like, I gotta go. And I
Yeah.
went, and at the time I thought I did the best set in the world.
Yeah.
It was so bad. Like it's so bad looking back, but that's just kind of
Yeah.
how comedy is. But and then like just I was hooked.
Well,
There's
the
no feeling like stand up.
the follow-up question, Derek,
Yeah.
is was there a catalyst, 5 years ago that you said to yourself, you know what, self, I'm going to do this?
It was it wasn't my first set, it was that feeling of like, oh, this is good, I've got to do it again. But
Okay.
then like there was like a little break because of the pandemic and
Yeah,
everything. There was
yeah,
no one running shows. My second show back after the pandemic, I bombed. I
yeah.
Not a laugh, 5 minute set. No one laughed. One of the guys running the show tried to give me a laugh. It was pathetic. And like I was walking off and I was like, oh, I can't quit doing this because the
Right.
feeling of when you kill, I'll never get any feeling outside of comedy. And I was like, I this is it. This is all I'm ever
Okay.
gonna do.
Okay. Um, you do a bit about working in a hospital. I don't know, is that true or not?
It is true. Yes,
Okay.
that is my day. That's my day job.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to do it? I'll tell you the bit that well, we'll ask you this question first, and then I'll tell you my favorite bit that I saw.
Yeah.
Um, Comedians that inspired you when you were younger, and comedians that you like now locally or wherever.
Yeah. So when I was younger, this Ron White was the first comedy special
Yeah.
I ever watched with my parents.
Okay.
He like just his dry humor and the way
Tater
stuff. Tater
salad.
salad. Yeah.
He's
First
great. I
special
love
I ever
Ron White.
seen. Ron White, not Mark Maron, that's for later. John Mulaney when I was in like high school and
Okay.
stuff. He was going through his big blow up. I thought he was incredible. And then I also like some
Sorry.
like out there stuff like Bo Burnham, like musical
Yeah.
comedy. I think that's really
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. Well, because you're a musician, sure.
Yeah.
And then as far as local town, I know you're a big fan of Bo Vance.
Bo is my guy. Bo, I just did a roast with Bo last
I
night and
love Bo. I love Bo.
he's insane. He
Yeah.
came onto the scene and I just remember being like, holy shit,
Yeah,
where did
he's
this
amazing.
guy come from? How is this man hiding anywhere? He can't fit
He's
behind a tree.
amazing.
What the hell?
Yeah,
And
he's really good.
he's so
But
good.
anyway,
But like,
and your partner obviously that opened for Paulie.
yeah,
What's his name?
Zach
Yeah.
Smith, he's so good. I do a
I
podcast
was
that
going to
we're
say
on
I have it
hiatus
written
right
down.
now.
Yeah, it's called It's Comedy Baby, right?
Yep. It's
Yeah,
called It's Comedy Baby. Yep.
you guys do a podcast.
We do. Yeah, we're on a bit of a
But
hiatus. We
Derek,
wanted
you jumped ahead, and it's kind of pissing me off. I have an order. You don't jump ahead like that.
I'm
What
sorry.
the fuck you think you're pulling?
I'll go backwards. I started comedy when I was 18.
I'm teasing you.
Yeah.
Fine. We were at
Eric,
local comedians or
look,
comedians locally that you like.
Erica Wickham. She's a great
Okay.
friend of mine. She's opening for me. I have a couple headlining shows coming up at the
Okay.
end of the month. She's so good.
Okay.
Um,
Well, see what you can do to get her on the show. Okay.
Absolutely.
Tell her I want her on
I'll
the
get her.
show.
Yeah.
You say
I'll let her
she's
know.
good. I'm going to take your word for it. Uh, Anybody else? Because I got to tell you, and I'm hoping you'll do a good portion of it about your crazy Uber ride.
Oh yeah, I'll do some of that for you.
You
I'll
can do
talk
that if
about
you don't
that.
mind. I mean, I don't want you. I
Yeah.
don't want to put you out, but because I think I have some information about that.
Oh, do you?
Well, I
Oh,
believe. I think I can tie in a little bit. I may pull a rabbit out of my hat. You never know.
oh, fuck. Okay, so this is like all true
Set it up.
too.
I mean, or do you want me to set it up?
I can set it up. It's
You were playing.
so
Let me just do my part, so you know I watched it.
yeah.
You were Huntington, West Virginia, playing,
Yep.
and you needed to get back to Ashland, Kentucky, where you live.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So that's about a 30-minute drive. And I was not sober, and my friend Zach was not sober.
Right.
And so my buddy Zach was like, hey, I'll call you an Uber.
Right.
So he calls me this Uber. We wait 45 minutes for this Uber. And we're waiting. Finally, we get the notification they're out front.
Right.
I'm like, let's go. So he walks me out front because it's 12:45 in Huntington, West Virginia. I don't want to get stabbed. And so
Right.
he walks me out front, and the Uber driver's name, it was this like 45-year-old white guy named Brett. Like on the phone, they showed a little picture. We were like, oh, sick.
Okay.
I lean down in the car and I look, and in the driver's seat is like a 50, 60-year-old black woman, and the passenger seat is a 40-year-old white lady. And I'm like, are you guys Brett? And they're like, no, we're not Brett. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm confused. They were like, are you Derek? I was like, yeah, I'm Derek. And they're like, oh, yeah, Brett's my husband. And he was tired after work today, so we would take the Uber out for a spin. So I do the smart thing. I get into the back of the car.
Yeah.
And so I get into the back of the car, and the Uber ride's pretty chill. It's pretty relaxed and everything for like 3 minutes before this white lady, she turns around and looks at me and she goes, do you like smooth jazz? I'm not a virgin. What are you talking about? Do I like smooth jazz? Get out of here. Yeah, and she puts it on. And so it's pretty chill for another couple minutes. And finally she turns back to me again and she goes, hey, Ashland's like a 30-minute drive. It's pretty far. Can we stop and get some water?
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me, of course. And there's like a speedway right over here down from Zach's house. So I was like, they're going to stop at the speedway. But then they passed the speedway.
Yeah.
And so finally, we just keep on going, and they stop at this house, which prompts me to text my friend Zach. I'm like, are we in the bad? I'm like, am I in the bad part of Huntington right now?
Bingo.
And he was like, to be fair, Derek, you're always 2 blocks away from a bad part of Huntington.
That's what I thought.
So he's like, you're always right there.
Yeah.
And so they get out of this car. They're like, we'll be back 5 minutes. They go into this house, most rundown house I've ever seen. And 5 minutes goes by, they don't come out. 15 minutes goes by, they don't come out. 45 minutes go by. They're still in this house. And so I'm like just relaxed, smooth jazz playing. And my buddy Zach calls me. He's like, hey, why the fuck aren't you moving right now?
Right.
What's going on? Like, you should have been home by now. And I was like, oh, they said they needed to go get some water for the drive. And he was like, I think you meant for crack, Derek. That's what you meant to say. And I'm like, I don't know. They seem fine. And then they seem fine. And then my buddy Zach just like, I'll talk to you in a sec, and hangs up. And little do I know, Zach calls the Uber driver, and it's like, same deal. Like, why aren't you fucking moving? But then Zach hangs up, and right after Zach hangs up, the company Uber calls them, and they're like, you have not been moving. Your job is to be moving.
To take him to where he wants to go.
What is going on here? And so finally, after an hour of sitting outside, they finally come back outside, and they throw the white lady in the passenger seat throws the door open, leans in, and goes, did you call Uber? And I was like, I ain't no snitch, bitch. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't snitch. I don't do that.
That whole bit's dynamite. That whole bit's dynamite.
It's so good. I at one point, because that story, like, because it's all true. My buddy Zach.
Yeah, no, I figured it was true.
Yeah, my buddy Zach literally. He took screenshots of how long I was at the place. It was so funny.
Well, and that's where I just want to throw in real quick, because we want to move on to some other stuff.
Yeah.
But it didn't dawn on me till I watched that, and wasn't Huntington, West Virginia, one of the most affected places by opioids? Yeah, that's
it was the number one opioid.
Yeah, it's like, see, I'm in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, And
Uh-huh.
if you Google or look at Kensington in Philadelphia
Yeah.
area, you'll see the zombies.
Yep. Yeah. That's literally the lady driving. It was crazy. Like we get on the highway at one point and she's going 35 miles an hour on an empty highway like this.
Crackhead.
She's like, holy
I have
shit.
my fair share of crackhead stories,
Oh
but I
yeah.
don't really want to talk about that because this is your comedy minute. You worked at Dairy Queen, is
I
that
did.
correct?
I did. That was my
Before you start, I want you to know this, and that's why I bring this stuff up.
uh
My grandfather built the first Dairy Queen in Pennsylvania.
holy shit.
I started working at Dairy Queen when I was 12
Oh
for $4
no.
an hour. The old man gave me $4 an hour. So go ahead, tell him what happened there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You had a little
So
problem there at the Dairy
I
Queen.
do. I have this initial problem of almost any job I work
Yeah, me
where
too.
I'll start out initially just working really hard. So they'll be like, this kid needs to be manager. So like I'm 19, I become a manager of this Dairy Queen. And when you're 19 working at a Dairy Queen, everyone that works under you is pretty much 1 to 3 years younger than you. So
Right,
they're all practically my age.
right.
So there's this one night, I'm manager that night, and I'm like doing some jobs in the back, and this guy comes up, he orders a cheeseburger. He walks to the back of the restaurant after getting this cheeseburger. And then I hear him scream, he goes, "Where the fuck is the cheese on this cheeseburger?" Walks up, and I'm just like, I was like, oh shit. And it's this poor 15-year-old child working the front. I was like, get out of here. Get out of here. So I walk up, I'm like, sir, is there something wrong? He's like, yeah, you guys didn't
There's
make,
something wrong.
he's like, you guys didn't make my cheeseburger correctly. And I was like,
Right?
okay. And I just kind of believed him because some of my workers were shitty. So I was like, okay.
Killing me.
So I take the burger from him and I
Pardon me.
just, you're all good. You're all good.
You're
So I
killing
just kind
me.
of like toss this cheeseburger in the trash because he's already touched it and everything.
Right.
So I go
Make him a
back,
new one.
I make the new one, I send it out to him. He walks back, I go back to do my job, and I hear again, what is up with this motherfucking cheese on my cheeseburger? And at this point, him and his wife come up, leaving their 1-year-old child in the back of this restaurant by itself.
Oh
They
my
they
God.
they toss the cheeseburger and I catch it. Most impressive thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Catch this cheeseburger and I'm like, "Sir, I just made this. You ordered a cheeseburger. What is wrong? Like I know I made it correctly." And he goes, "No, you didn't. The cheese, it ain't melted. That cheese, it's not melted cheese." And I was like, "Sir, the cheese is fake cheese. It's not gonna melt. It's just not gonna happen." And he was like, "No, I order them all the time. They come melted." And I was like, "Sir, I have put a slice of this cheese on the grill before. It does not melt. That's not how this works, sir. It just doesn't." So he's yelling at me. And then I have this twerp of a 16-year-old. And this sucks because so like when you train somebody at a Dairy Queen, you've worked at a Dairy Queen, have you made a blizzard before?
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know what making a blizzard looks like?
yeah.
You're just teaching these kids how to jerk off. That's what you're doing. And
Okay.
and this kid, he's the worst kid I've ever met. So annoying. This 16-year-old twerp.
Right.
He looks over at this guy screaming in my face, and I'm just like, dude, the cheeseburger. And he like smirks, and the guy sees it,
Now the
and
guy freaks out.
he starts screaming at this 16-year-old. He's like trying to come across the counter. I'm like getting in his way, and he's like 34, but like 5'4", so like really weird amount of intimidating.
Yeah.
And he's like screaming, he's like, "I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna kick your motherfucking ass, dude." Just screaming. And I was like, I put my hand on his chest and I pushed him back and I said, "Get the fuck out of my Dairy Queen." And he
So proud of
left.
you.
I know. I quit
That's
that
so
job two
proud of
weeks
you.
later.
That's great. Let's move on to favorite show you've done so far. I don't know if that would be the Pauly Shore show, or do you have another favorite show that you've done so far?
That's tough because Pauly Shore, just like purely based on like it's a theater, my first theater show. There's like
Okay.
almost 600 people there, just like the most people I've ever done it in front of. And it's just like, that's so surreal. But then last night, I did this roast for our buddy Chris Ferris. He's a comic in West Virginia.
Okay.
And Bo was on it, a couple of my friends, and we just did like a roast. And it's just fun. Like it's like I've had like the two best experiences with comedy,
Cool. Cool.
like in like the past like couple weeks with like the Pauly
Okay.
Shore show, which was like huge show,
Right.
long set, and then last night where it's just like having fun. So those are
Well,
probably up there for me.
if you don't know, I'll give you a quick tip. I'm an asshole. So
Uh,
therefore, I want to hear about your least favorite show.
okay.
You know where
I
you know what I'm looking for here.
yeah, I
If you
probably
have
have
two,
two
if you
of
have
these.
two, that's even better.
I have two equally bad. So I have been running shows since I was 19.
Okay.
I've been running like open mics or like booked shows and stuff since I was 19.
Okay.
And I used to book at this place in Russell, Kentucky. It's a little brewery.
Uh-huh.
It's really like nice. They were always super accommodating.
Okay.
But there was this one time that they had me put someone that they had a comedian that they knew that used to do comedy who said, I can bring my own crowd. Don't worry, I can bring my own crowd.
I know what's gonna happen.
So I'm like, okay, cool. This is like my fourth one too. I've not been
Right.
booking for long. This is my
Okay.
fourth show. I'm like, cool. He's been doing it. He used to do like shows all the time. I'll give him. He'll be the last dude. He'll do 10.
Yeah.
And they put me outside instead of inside because the inside room is
Right.
kind of small. They're expecting a lot of people. They have me set it up outside. So there's two things I didn't mention the first part of this story. This brewery is in an old train station, and the
Okay.
train tracks are still right out back. So
I
they
kind of get what's gonna happen.
so they set me up out back. I'm expecting a lot of people. This is so big. I get interviewed by a newspaper in Russell,
Okay.
Kentucky about it. They're expecting this big turnout. No one shows up.
No
No,
one.
I have a couple comics show up. The one guy brings three people, two of them wasted. I mean, so drunk. It's 7:30 p.m. and they are gone. And my girlfriend and her friend at the time are there. So
Ooh.
we I start up, I'm hosting, I do a couple jokes, I do my host stuff. And then at one point, it's in the middle of this guy's set. He is bombing. I mean, he is doing
Well, there's
so
no one
bad.
there. How can he be bombing?
I don't even know, like, you just ever seen a set and you just like go, oh, that's bad. That's the feeling I'm having. And it's not even the headliners, it's another guy that just kind of showed
Right.
up. And I hear from in the distance, I hear like train on train tracks. And I just look over at my friend and I go, oh, fuck.
Here comes
This
the
train
train.
just comes screeching past. I'm pissed. Like I'm freaking out. And I'm just like trying to be like, well, I'm like, wrap it up. There's no way to talk over a train going right beside us. This dude doesn't understand that. This dude's trying to like, he walks over to my speaker and amp and everything, that whole setup, the soundboard, and he like keeps trying to turn his mic up, but he keeps holding the mic in his hand right beside the speaker. So
Feedback.
it's just feedback, feedback, feedback. And I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna do comedy again. This is bad. They're
All
gonna
right,
ban me.
let's get to
So
the
bad.
second one. Give me the second one real quick.
So the second one, there's this place in Charleston that we were doing shows at for a while called The Rock. It's this nice little bar, fun little place. And I had been there two or three times. I was kind of like a regular. I was on almost every show. And uh we get to this new show. We do this show. It's January of this year, and there's a pretty decent crowd. And the first person goes up, host bombs, and I'm
Right.
like, oh, I was like, okay, that's fine. You know, this has happened before. Is one
Right.
of my favorite memories in comedy is the guy who was doing it originally, my buddy Matt Saldana. He first guy goes up and host bombs. I'm the next comic up. He comes up, he taps me on the chest. He goes, I need you to save this shit. And I go up and I kill. And I'm like, oh, so I'm like, I'm the next guy up this time too. I'm like, okay, I got this. I go up, bomb. Another comic goes up, bombs. This one comic goes up. He's Justin Murdoch. He does comedy in Huntington. Another friend of mine. He's gay and he does this joke about butt sex. And this dude in the crowd stands up and just he charges the stage
Oh my God.
and he's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want it. What are you talking about? Screaming. And like the dude running the show and the host comes and he's like trying to push him back. And and my buddy Justin goes, I bet that dude's asshole's tight.
Oh my.
Bombs. Just everything is just comic after comic after comic bombing. And the main issue with this room is it should be divided into two rooms because there's the bar and then there's the performance area, but there's no wall. So everyone, like a bunch of people go and sit at the bar and get wasted,
Right.
but you can just hear them talking
Right.
the whole damn time. And I remember I walk outside, I look at my friend Josh, who was also performing, and I just go, they're not having us back. And we haven't done another show here, show there since.
Okay. We mentioned the podcast. It's Comedy Baby,
It's comedy, baby.
everybody. And
Yep.
also, I have written down that you filmed a special called "Don't Tell My Mom."
Oh, oh God, no. This is yeah, I
Was that
did.
was that what long ago or
I should not have done it. It's honestly super
really?
funny to me. I did it super early on because I
I
had
didn't get
not.
to see. I apologize if I brought the wrong thing up. I didn't know. I didn't see it.
No, no, you're all good. It's very funny to talk about. I was roasted on it a couple times last night at the roast.
Were you?
But yeah, so because I started comedy when I was like right before COVID. COVID hit, I came back, and my understanding of comedy was like from very like somewhat like of a social media perspective of like I got to be posting, I got to have clips, I've got to like constantly be churning out this stuff to like have somewhat of a career. And so I was like, okay, I'll record like a whole set, like a 20-minute set. I didn't have 20 minutes. I shouldn't have done this, but it's very funny. And so like I'm going in, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. And now everyone's just like, Derek, that's the dumbest fucking thing you've ever done. They're like, it's honestly kind of nice to have. It's like a time capsule of
Yeah.
like, oh, I did like that's not good for me now, but like
Yeah.
not too shabby for like a kid who's been doing
I
it
can
for a
relate.
year.
I started 4.5 years ago or 4 years plus, and when I look back, because they're all up, I don't give a shit. I just I'm 62
Yeah,
years old. I don't give a fuck,
yeah,
and they're up. Everything's up on YouTube. When I look back at those first couple of jokes, and I was telling someone else this, and you might laugh at it, because again, I just told you I'm 62.
yeah,
I'm a relic. I'm a dinosaur, and social media and all that bullshit. And I'll do these quickies. I go out and hold up my phone. You're a comedy minute quickie, and I do a joke.
yeah.
And I was doing them, and I probably been doing them, and I was actually having great success. Well, pretty decent success on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
And somebody said, "Hey, buddy, why don't you try looking at the camera? You're a comedy minute quickie." I'm like, wait, that's what I thought. Well, God, where's the camera at?
Where's the camera at on this
Yeah.
thing?
So yeah, I can relate. I've had bad experiences. But look, man, we don't have a lot of time left, and I want to make sure that we cover everything that you've got coming up. I think we covered, a lot of the stuff, your podcast. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I brought up Please Don't Tell Mom.
No, no, hey, I don't care. I'm still,
I
if
just
you want
write.
to
I
listen
just
to
put
it,
down what right. Put down what I can find out, or I think
hey,
it's on your. And by the way, I will put. You mentioned social media.
yeah.
I will put your YouTube channel. I will put your Instagram, your
Thank you.
Facebook,
Yeah.
um, all the links.
Yeah,
I think you have TikTok.
if you
What's
listeners
that?
want to listen to Please Don't Tell My Mom on Spotify, I'm still making money off that. So I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
care if it's
whatever.
bad.
Yeah, okay,
Make me
yeah,
some
whatever.
money.
Yeah, but I want to make sure we cover everything, and then of course I'm hoping you're going to do your comedy minute for me.
I am. I
Okay.
am. I am. I am.
All right, cool. So just tell everybody again, we'll put all the links. If you have any upcoming shows, I'm going to get this on the air hopefully in a week or so or 2 weeks max.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely. Yeah. So I'm in Huntington I'm pretty much every week. I'm a
Okay.
regular up there. I help run the scene. I'm headlining the Wondering Wind Meadery in Charleston, West Virginia, September the 26th. I'm
Okay.
going to be in Pittsburgh, no, October 30th, the 31st, and
Okay.
the 1st. I got a couple shows lined up there with some friends. I'm going to be in Beckley, West Virginia,
I
November
know
the
it.
8th, doing another headlining slow show. And then towards the back end of the year, I've got some stuff brewing right now.
Have you been to Pittsburgh before?
I have been to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I've done Red Eye Comedy Festival the past 2 years.
Okay.
This past time we hit up Pittsburgh for
Yeah, I
some open
used to. I'm
mics.
here in Pennsylvania, but and I didn't tell you this, but I have a lot of fond memories of Charleston, West Virginia. Long before you were around, probably Billy Shea and no, Billy was the program director of VSR.
Oh
I
yeah?
worked for RCA and Mike Rappaport, KLC in Charleston, and
Uh-huh.
all the radio stations, and I just had a lot of fun in West Virginia, and not to mention Bo Vance, Slack Daddy,
Oh, Bo and Slack.
Joey
Bo and
Step. I had
Slack.
Joey Step on.
Joe, yeah, I did a show with Joey back in November. I did a run through West Virginia. Joey's a fun guy.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of mad at him. Come on, he's a magician, and it'd be like watching a magician on the radio. He didn't do any magic,
Oh,
not one bit.
oh,
But no, he was pretty funny.
yeah.
Well, look, I thank you so much
Yeah,
for being
absolutely.
here. And listen, if you'd like, get your buddy to come on, your female friend you mentioned,
I
or anybody
will.
else you want to send me. But
Absolutely.
beyond that, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. We'll catch back up in a few months. We'll see how you're doing if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
And now it's time. Derek Stacy, your comedy minute. Go ahead.
So I'm a pretty big Taylor Swift fan. I don't know if any of you listeners are a pretty big Taylor Swift
No,
fan.
no, no.
But I think my whole vibe hits Taylor Swift fan, these posters, this outfit. I think it makes sense if you guys see me. But she released this song called Antihero, and it's a pretty fun song. It's a pretty
Right?
fun song. Yeah. Especially like the first verse is fun, but then it gets into the second verse.
Yeah.
And the first line of the second verse is, sometimes I think everyone is a sexy baby,
Okay.
and I'm just the monster on the hill. Hey Taylor, what the fuck is a sexy baby?
Yeah.
What's that about? Second question, Taylor.
Yeah.
Why are you the monster looking at all these sexy babies?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you do you know the last monster to look at sexy babies?
Uh,
Epstein.
yeah, Epstein.
Epstein.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yep. That's my comedy minute.
Well, man, you were fantastic. I
Thank you
love
so
it. I
much.
think I,
Thanks
I
for having
told
me
you
on.
I told you before. I think you're great. I think you're going to go real far.
I really
I'm happy
appreciate
you were
that.
on the
Truly do.
show. You're a great storyteller. Let me stop the recording so we can talk a few minutes off the air if it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.